Guys, Teacher Polov here, and today we are reacting to driving license, which can be very stressful. I I did, I got my driver's license um over 10 years ago, more than that, 15 years ago. And I don't want to go through that process ever again. But here we're going to learn how tough the driving test is in Germany. Apparently, it is the toughest driving test. So, this video is from a channel called DWREV, Cars and Mobility. And the title is, Can You Pass Germany's Toughest Driving Test? Let's check it out. Let me know if you've ever done a driving test and how it was for you. This is a coffee request, by the way, from Susan, who says, driving test in Germany. How is it? Me, myself, I am so glad that I did my driving license in Germany and not in Sweden. I am a better driver and know all the rules and what's inside the car and more. Okay, let's go. So are you saying that it's easier or more difficult? I think you're saying it's more difficult to do it in Germany and you are a better driver because of that. Is that it? Let's go.
Getting your driving license in Germany. It's harder than you might think.
Germans are famous around the world for their cars, so it's really no surprise that they're also renowned as very disciplined drivers. How difficult is it to get your driving license in Germany? How expensive is it? How complicated is the whole process? What exactly makes Germans such disciplined road users? And what else do you need to know about getting your German driving license? Hop in.
The first thing we need to know is how old can you get a driver's license in Germany? Because for you to go through all that stress, you need to have at least some kind of responsibility in terms of age.
Let's find out. There are several steps you need to take before you can even think about getting behind the wheel.
First, you need to pass an eye test. Then you must complete a first aid course so that you're prepared if you get into an accident.
Are you okay?
I think that's important. I think that's important. Everybody should have a first aid.
Once you've done those, it's time to enroll at a driving school. German law dictates that you must attend at least 21 hours of theory classes and have 12 practical special training drives.
Okay, this is the same in Brazil. Brazil, you also need to join a driving school. You also need to have specific hours. I don't know if it's 21 hours or if it's more, but you need to have, you need to first have theory classes in a driving school, and you need to have the practical lessons as well. So it's basically the same. And also they have, well, at least the school I went to, they had biometrics so that nobody can go and take the test for you. So yeah, very strict.
Thought you could get a friend or a family member to teach you? Wrong. It has to be a qualified instructor.
It has to be the qualified instructor. My country too.
That's a lot of steps. I got my license in Scotland when I was 17 and I didn't need to take an eye test or do a first aid course. My dad gave me a lot of my lessons and I think I did maybe 10 official hours of lessons.
You need an eye test and you need a health test in Brazil. I recently renewed my driver's license when I went to Brazil, and they did an eye test where they blew this bright light in my eye and then wanted me to read some letters from the screen. And also they did a few medical, just some like taking your pressure and other stuff, just to make sure you are healthy to drive. So you do need a medical appointment to even to renew your driver's license. So yeah, eye test. I think you need a psychological test as well in Brazil. So far, nothing here surprises me because that's exactly how you do it in Brazil. The only thing we don't do, or at least I haven't done, was the first aid. So like as a first responder, we don't do that. I don't think so. I don't think I have in Brazil. Yeah, I don't remember doing it. But I remember doing the eye test, the health test, the course, and you can't use your own car. You can't go with any of your friends. It has to be their car. It has to be their teachers, and yeah, basically that's it. Yeah,
So quite a big difference there. What's it like in your country?
that's how
Here are
it's
some
like.
facts and figures about Germany. It has the highest number of registered passenger cars in the EU, around 49 million, and ranks third in Europe for traffic injuries per million inhabitants, after
Wow.
Austria and San Marino. But Germany has one of the lowest road death rates, at 3.3 per 100,000 inhabitants.
Okay, that's
compared
better.
to 6.6 Europe-wide, 10.8 in the US, and 14.6 worldwide. And
Okay.
one of the lowest rates of drink driving deaths. South
Okay.
Africa and the US have the highest. Here in Germany,
You're allowed 0.
But does that say more about German cars than it does about German drivers? Because I feel like if you are still having so many injuries, it means that like you're still not doing a good job with avoiding accidents. But I feel like the cars are safer because you're still crashing, like third highest. You're still crashing a lot, although you don't have deaths, but you still have injury. So does that speak more to the driver or to the car? Maybe it's because the car is much better and much safer. I don't know. But obviously, like drunk driving, that's a big plus for Germany. And in my country, as I mentioned, there is a zero tolerance policy. So even if you have a liquor chocolate, or even if you have bread sometimes, when you blow on that machine, what you call it, the I don't know what you call it. In Portuguese, you say bafômetro, which is the breathalyzer. I don't know what you call it in English, but the fact is, alcohol tester, is that the name of it? I don't know. The fact is that even if you have like a certain amount of bread, it can trigger that machine, that tester. And even if you have one rum chocolate, you can get in trouble because it's a 0% policy. Literally, you have to have 0 alcohol in your blood, like literally 0. If it's 0.1, you get fined. If it's 0.5, you lose points. It's literally a 0 tolerance.
and the US have the highest. Here in Germany,
You're allowed 0.5 milligrams per milliliter
You're
of
allowed,
blood,
okay.
unless you cause any trouble on the streets. That's around 2 small beers for the average man, but maybe just 1 for me. Although, to be honest, I wouldn't advocate drinking and driving either way.
Gosh, okay. So I'm starting to believe my country is even tougher than Germany when it comes to that.
Okay, now we're ready to start driving. I'm heading to a lesson, but to get there, I need to get onto the German Autobahn, which is
Autobahn.
famous for having no speed limit.
On
Cheers to that.
Autobahn. Not gonna lie, this always makes me a little bit nervous. Driving Safety Centre. Now it's time to start driving lessons. I'm meeting a certified driving instructor to get the lowdown on everything that these lessons entail.
The first time I actually drove, was in a highway. It's crazy, I know.
Robert Fleming has been teaching Berliners to drive for 2 years. Berlin is a notoriously difficult city to learn how to drive in, so he seems like the best person to take me on a test drive.
So what does a block of driving lessons in Germany actually look like? What's the general idea?
You have 12 hours of basic material, followed by 2 hours of class-specific material for Category B, the car driver's license. Then comes the theory test. After that, you can start your practical lessons straight away, and then the special training drives begin. Special training drives are for the highway, country roads, and night driving.
How
It's important.
expensive
You
is
also
it
need to learn how to drive in rain.
in Germany?
These days, I think you can or should expect to pay around 3,500 euros on average.
That is
Practical lessons typically run from 900 to 2,000 euros in total.
that's expensive.
Special trips, aka nighttime drives,
But
cost
not
an
as
extra
expensive as
400
Norway.
to 800 euros, and the practical exam itself can cost up to 250 euros. With registration fees and theory lessons on top of that, Germany is one of the costliest countries in the world to learn to drive in. Norway and Switzerland are considered the world's most expensive at around 4,000 euros.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't too
Countries like
surprised.
India, Thailand, and Russia are among the cheapest.
Oh no,
So do
but
you
come
think
on.
there's a reason why Germans
For you to drive in India, you need to be very, very skilled. Honestly, you have to be very skilled to drive in India.
are known for being such disciplined road users? Do you think the test is quite
It's an
complicated?
adventure, isn't it?
First of all, I believe that Germans like regulations. They like laws. They like to know how to behave.
Nice.
I think the other reason is that in Germany in particular, people have respect for other people's property. But even more than that, respect for their own property.
Notice how she did not take her eyes off the road. She hasn't looked to her side. She hasn't looked at him once, even though the car is stationary. She hasn't looked to the side once during this conversation. Her eyes are on the road. She's taking
We're
the
on
test
the Autobahn
really
again.
seriously.
So back to that no speed limit thing.
I am very aware of the fact that on certain parts of the Autobahn there is no speed limit. What's your thought on that?
The old myth that there's no speed limit in Germany comes up time and again.
It's a
Yet
myth.
there are speed limits in Germany. On the parts of the highway where most people think there's none, there is still a recommended speed limit, and that is 130 kilometers per hour on German highways.
Okay.
You can drive faster, it's technically permitted. You can drive 400 kilometers an hour for all I care, but you're taking on a huge responsibility for yourself as well as for the other road users. And if you have an accident, you may no longer have any insurance coverage since you are driving faster than the law permits you to under the best possible conditions.
So there,
I think the city of Berlin
so where does the myth come from then? Because ever since I've heard of the Autobahn, I've heard that you have no speed limit. You can go 400 kilometers per hour. But of course, there is accountability. If you are in an accident, then it's definitely, you're going to pay for it.
does have a bit of a reputation for having quite a high fail rate, doesn't it?
Yeah, so in the theory exam, almost half fail the first time.
Wow. Okay, admittedly, I did fail my theory the first time round.
Okay.
So somewhere between 40 and 50%
I failed my first
fail
one.
on average in Germany.
A simple mistake.
Very good. Already nodded our heads today. And in the practical, it's a good 30% of people
The pass or fail?
that fail on the first attempt.
It's also a money driver.
China, Montenegro,
Even like in my country, even if you do a perfect test, sometimes they fail you just so that you need to pay again. It sucks. It's corrupt, but it's the system. So everybody says, yeah, don't expect to pass your first test, even if you do everything perfectly well. There is a trick, though. You can, if they ask you, "Oh, have you done the test before?" You can say, "Yeah, this is my 5th try. You know, I can't do it anymore. I have to pass this time." And they're like, "Oh, okay." We have taken their money too much, so they might pass you. It might not work. I don't know.
Hungary, Japan, and Australia have the toughest test requirements.
Hungary, China,
While Bangladesh,
Japan, and
Belarus,
Australia.
Egypt, India, and Mexico are among the easiest, with
Oh my
minimal theory
gosh.
and practical experience.
Okay, but does India, because India is one of the cheapest and one of the less, it feels like it's very easy to have a driver's license in India, but is it allowed in international countries, in countries around the world, because you can use an international license at least for a year, right? So yeah.
Geschafft! Well, thank you so much for teaching me how to drive in Germany. And what's the verdict? Do you think I would have passed?
I'd say you passed, but just barely. There are 2 or 3 little things you could pay more attention to in the future.
Maybe not have a camera. Oh.
The rest, tip-top.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Dankeschön. Okay, so you finally passed your test. Hooray! That means you don't need to worry anymore, right? Well, not quite.
You
For 2 years, you're on probation. That means if you commit any violations during this time, you risk losing your license.
Oh yeah, that's the same.
Okay, you're now a fully qualified driver. Simple, kind of.
But I think in Brazil it's 1 year.
There are a lot of steps involved.
Not 2
but
years.
To be honest, it does make me feel safer driving on the roads here, knowing that everyone around me clearly had to be a very good driver in order to be able to pass their test. How does the process compare to your country? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So I think it's very similar to my country, like extremely similar. However, we don't have the first aid training, and we don't have the 2-year probation. I think it's 1 year only. If you commit any problems during that first year, then you might lose your license. And then we also have the point system, where you lose points on your license, and you can also get suspensions and yada yada. I don't know if you guys have that system as well. I think you do. You take you get points taken off your driver's license if you have like you pay a fine, and you get points removed if you do any wrong stuff. Does that happen in your country as well? With that said, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know your country. How does it how is the driver's license test, or the driving test in your country? When I did my driving test, I did a 6-hour drive to Luxembourg to see how I will do with long driving. Oh, but honestly, I feel like European roads are easier to drive. Like, I don't think you guys have any holes in the roads. And I know that might be crazy to imagine, but we have a lot of holes in our roads. So yeah, it's a bit different. Even in a highway, sometimes you see a few holes. But, you know, it is what it is. I have always heard, if you learn how to drive in São Paulo, you can drive anywhere in the world. And that's all I'm going to say. With that said, guys, go over to Twitch if you want to join me live, if you want to watch reactions to full movie series, shows, concerts, anime, anything. Honestly, we have it all. Go over to Buy Me Coffee or to Patreon. Link is in the pinned comments, and click over here for more videos here on YouTube. Bye-bye. Take care.